after the numerous reports, after the Starlight Tours, that's the history of this province, after the history of residential schools, after the history of removing Indigenous children from their mothers and from their families, after the history of missing and murdered, which Ms. Walker has advocated for her entire life, I think what we need to be asking ourselves is when it's going to occur to this government, the federal government, and the Saskatchewan government, that something has to be done about the way the Indigenous community is dealt with in this country and in this province. What I hope comes out of this is that some of those questions are going to be asked and finally answered, because it is long in coming. And Ms. Walker is just one in many of a line of Indigenous women who has felt the wrath of what it feels like to be a woman in this province of that history.
Sentencing is always an individualized process. Of course, we consider the broad aspects of Indigenous peoples when we're sentencing, as we must do, as is indicated in the Criminal Code and by the Supreme Court of Canada. So while those are all very true comments, broadly speaking, I would suggest that the most important takeaway here is that Ms. Walker has taken responsibility for her actions, that the parties moving forward are going to be parenting this child, and he's really the one that needs to be considered in all of this. From the Crown's perspective, of course, it's heartening that so many people were concerned about Ms. Walker and her child, and it really shows how the people of Saskatchewan can come together in times such as this. In terms of the amount that was put together, that is not for the Crown at this time to determine. The community service hours are significant and provides a way for Ms. Walker to give back to the community who really rallied around what they believe to be a missing and murdered Indigenous woman and ensured that the search continued tirelessly for her and for her child. It is important for people to understand that abusing positions of trust and not going through the proper legal proceedings cannot be condoned and will not be condoned.